Yo, what is up everybody? It is your favorite engineer, Drew, back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to be showing you how to sound like Travis Scott in the song 4x4. So let's get into the video.
That's the one-on-one, yeah, build a time, yeah, make it up, can you run, can you come, yeah, fuck the sun, find the moon, find some fun.
Alright, so what you guys just heard there, as always, was the paid version of this preset. Now, if you want to go to the link in the description, you're going to find my website where you can purchase this preset as well as dozens of other presets that I've made previously, or you can get custom mixing and mastering services straight from me. And the paid version is going to include all my recreated versions of the dubs and ad-libs from the original song. If you want to get a higher quality template that where all you have to do is just hit record and you're ready to go. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the free version of the preset. Now, this is actually my third time recording this video, so bear with me. I'm going to try to do this as efficient as possible. So we're going to start it off with the Waves tune RealTime. And this, and the original song kind of has that kind of robotic auto-tune sound. Just very kind of almost alien robot sound. So we wanted to recreate that by using the fastest auto-tune speed we can. And then you're going to set the key to whatever the key of your beat is. In this case, F sharp minor. This is the only plugin that is not stock in the free version. All right, so next up, we're going to go into the Fruity Parametric EQ. This EQ is literally just going to shape up this vocal a lot, so brighten it up, especially because I recorded it with the SM7B, so I wanted to tame some of that muddy kind of muffling sound of the mic, and then I wanted to boost some of the highs to give it that shine of the modern vocal. So we're going to start off with a low cut, aka a high pass at 80 hertz. Then at 246 hertz, we're taking out 4.5 decibels there. At 575 hertz, we're taking out 2.3 decibels there. And then, like I said, we wanted to boost the top end. And these two frequencies right here are just going to bring back a little bit of that muffled sound in like this a little bit. So it's just bringing those back a little bit. And then we're also going to boost up to some of that high end to give it some shine. So at 4,500 hertz, we're going to boost it by 3 decibels, as well as at 10K hertz, we're going to use a high shelf and boost it by 3 decibels. Next plugin we're going to go into is our Freebie Compressor. Now, this is more of an aggressive style compression, and this is going to start to squash that vocal a lot, which is what I wanted for this song. So we're going to start with a threshold at negative 30.3, 4:1 on the ratio, 7.8 on the gain, 0 millisecond attack, 116 millisecond release, hard type. Like I said, I wanted this compressor to be very aggressive, so this is almost going to add a little bit of distortion to the vocal. But you're also going to notice when you throw this compressor specifically, it's going to bring down the volume a little bit because we're doing more squashing than boosting. So you're going to notice that if you're bypassing this back and forth. All right, next up in the vocal, we're going to use the Fruity Blood Overdrive to add some more saturation and more grit to this vocal. So all I did was I used this preamp knob, boosted it by 0.02 just to add some more grit to the vocal. All right, then we're going to go into the Fruity Compressor again, and this time we're doing a little bit of lighter compression, but this is really what's going to push some volume into this vocal. So you might notice this vocal gets super loud if you are following this preset with me, so be careful with your ears. But we're going to start it with a threshold at negative 15.3, 2.7 to 1 on the ratio, 10 on the gain, 15 millisecond attack, 200 millisecond, and we're using the hard mode again. So like I said, a little bit lighter compression. This is kind of just there for boosting the volume of the vocal. All right, then the next thing we're going to go into is kind of that final tone shaping, and all I did was I used the Fruity Parametric EQ2, turned on the vocal presence mode, and as you can see, the band goes down to here, but I actually moved it to 441 hertz and then brought the gain back up to negative 3.5 decibels. So that's all I did with this preset. Pretty simple, just gonna give this vocal, as it says, a little bit more of that presence. All right, next up we have the Fruity Chorus, and if you're unfamiliar with this Fruity Chorus, this is really just gonna add some depth and dimension in the stereo field of this vocal. So that's what we're going for. All I did was I dragged on the stock Fruity Chorus, and then I dragged the mix down to 23%. I found that this was a good spread on the vocal and gave it kind of that wide characteristic. So super simple, and we gained a little bit more dimension to this vocal. All right, next up, we're going to do some final control with this vocal. I noticed that, especially after boosting it a lot in the previous compressor, that it's starting to poke out a little bit over top of the mix too much. So if you ever have a vocal that's poking out, or anything really that's poking out just too much, and all I did was I brought back the gain a little bit. So this is gonna bring the volume back down because it was a little too loud. So I brought it back by 3.2 decibels. Then all I did after that was I took the ceiling down to -6.6, and this is what's gonna tame those peaks back a little bit. So you're gonna notice with this is it's just cutting off those peaks and kind of bringing this vocal back and tucking it in a little bit more into the mix. Then the final two plugins are our spatial and effects plugins, and in this case we have the Freebie Delay 3 for the first one. Everything is stock besides delay models on Ping Pong, the feedback levels at 31.6%, and then we're going to use the LP, aka low pass mode, set that to 4,682 hertz, and then the wet levels brought down to 16.6%. Now this is kind of just like a normal delay. It's just going to fill in that empty space in between the vocal takes and stuff, and just add a little bit more character to the song. So pretty simple, and they will actually automate the volume of the delay in the original song. So at certain points where they want it to come out a little bit more, what they'll do is they'll automate that so it comes up in the mix. All right, final plugin is the Fruity Reverb 2. This is just going to add some space and a little bit more dimension to the vocal. Settings for this were high cut at 4K hertz, low cut at 75 hertz, pre-delay set to 20, then the decay is at 4 seconds, and then we're going to set the wet to 14%. Like I said, this is just going to add some space to this vocal and make it sound nice and vibey. All right, so yeah, that is all the settings for the vocal preset. Now I'm going to show you what it sounds like all together. So let's hear it.
4x4, I tint my windows up, yeah. Damn, I'm about to get it one and done, yeah. On my closet.
So as you can see, when I bring in those background vocals, it really kind of sounds a lot more like the original song. So my vocals for the backgrounds aren't as on time and all that as Travis Scott's in the original, so you may notice a little difference there. But mixing wise, if you want to get the backgrounds, then go to the paid preset and that will include everything. But like I said, this is the free version, so you guys are getting the main vocal to give you a nice starting point. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this preset. If you did, comment down below what artist you want me to recreate next, or any type of mixing style video you want me to do. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go check out my website if you are interested in copying some presets, as well as all the other presets I've done. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and stay tuned for future videos. Thanks for watching. Peace.